I'm going to go ahead and start recording now. And thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Jennifer, for helping co-lead this session. This session we're doing is alternate ways to write on the board. So as you guys start thinking about fall, right, which I know is a little scary, you may be on campus, you may be home, I'm not sure. You may have a whiteboard at home, you may not. And so what we wanted to do is kind of think about ways or show you different platforms you can use to write on the board if you're not physically on campus or you don't have a whiteboard at home. Before we begin and show you guys some stuff, we do have a couple questions, and if you want to put them in the chat, that's fine. We're curious to know if you're looking for something for you to write or draw or annotate on the board, or if you wanted your students to also write on the board or annotate or collaborate together, or both. So if you can kind of put your thoughts in the chat and we'll moderate that. Jennifer and I are going to take turns showing different things, so we're each going to moderate the chat room. But there's different things, and so that's what I just wasn't sure what you guys were hoping to get out of today's session. A couple of the objectives and goals that we had for today was that we're going to show how to connect an iPad or a mobile device to your computer to show through Zoom. So we're going to show that first. Then we're going to show 3 different web-based programs on annotating, right, that you can use. And each one has different features. Jennifer had a team she put together that they did some testing, and we'll share about that and show what that's like. And then hopefully by the end of this session, you'll be able to figure out which one may or may not work for what you're wanting to do in your teaching. And I think most of you guys fill out the survey, so a lot of you, about half of you had an iPad, some didn't. We do have iPads in the CTL checkout. So if we did get a few new ones, so if you're looking for something like a tablet because your phone's not going to work or the desktop or your laptop's not going to work for annotating really well, please let me know and we can get in touch with Lisa and get one in your hands for you. Okay, Jennifer, is there anything I'm missing before we start?
No.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do was talk about Zoom, because we're in Zoom, and the screen share. So how many of you guys have actually used the screen share whiteboard feature in Zoom? Do you want to put that in the chat? We'll kind of figure out if you have. So some have, some haven't. So what I'm going to do first is I just want to quickly showcase this. So I'm going to share my screen, and when you share a screen within Zoom, there's a whiteboard option. So if I click whiteboard and hit share, you now see my, let me erase it. You now see a whiteboard. So at the bottom or top, depending on where you're at, right, you should have a little toolbar, and I don't think you can see my toolbar on the screen share, where you can actually draw. So if you guys want to try drawing on the whiteboard, I have the eraser on, or if you want to try adding a stamp, you guys see that? And if, let me make sure too, within Zoom by default, you and your students can all write on the whiteboard at the same time. You can disable that, but by default, it's enabled, okay? So it's just something to keep in mind. So if you're connecting with your students and some are in the classroom, some are remote, and you're trying to demonstrate something, maybe the remote students help collaborate, or maybe your other students, you wouldn't want them ones physically in the classroom to be on Zoom, can kind of think of different ways that they can do group work within that, okay? So there are some features within it. And Jennifer, what was, I think some of the faculty that you had done for testing, did they have anything kind of feedback to share?
We didn't really like this approach because the video is kind of laggy, and that means people might write things on the same place on the screen and not know it until there's stuff, because it doesn't show up right when you're drawing it. for the other people, it shows up later. And so then it can get chaotic.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, so those are from some faculty perspectives within the Zoom. Does anybody have any questions within Zoom screen share?
Jen Goff, I think, has a question.
Okay.
A few of us are noting that some of you are writing on the board and some of us don't seem to be able to.
Oh, are you not able to, Jen?
I can't.
So what I have to do in order to write on the board is to go at the top where there's like you are viewing Candace Wince's screen, and then there's view options and then the little down arrow. If you click the down arrow, you can like choose annotate, and then you're able to write on the board. Otherwise, it looks like something that other people can do and you're not allowed to participate.
Well, now I can. Thank you.
Perfect. And those are great questions that I'll create a summary with maybe some screenshots, because I don't see that on my option. So we'll get some stuff together. So thank you for mentioning that, Jen. Appreciate that. Okay.
And Bruce says his doesn't show up at all, even though he has a touch screen. You mean your writing doesn't show up, or you mean the option to annotate doesn't show up?
Or a toolbar.
I can do it now. I didn't know about the annotate option.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Any other questions within Zoom?
How do you make the arrow with your name on it?
That is the which feature is that? The spotlight. There's a little spotlight with like a little wand, and if you click on that or hold down, then there's a little arrow underneath that. So there's some tools like the stamp tool that has different features.
On mine, it just says arrow.
Oh, well, mine's embedded in, so.
Did you see it, Christian?
No, it's okay. I don't want to hold it up though. I'll figure it out.
Okay, and I'll try to take a couple screenshots. I don't know if it's the version. I mean, I'm in the Zoom app on my Mac laptop, so I don't think there's a lot of variations. I do know yesterday we had someone that had the old Zoom and they couldn't do a lot of stuff with it because it was version 4 instead of version 5.0. So you want to make sure that you have the most updated version. I'm not saying that that's it. I don't know what it is, but that could also be if you didn't run a Zoom update. Okay, great question. Thanks, Christian. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, Lucas, go ahead.
A lot of people had to manually turn on the annotate. If we're dealing with like a larger group or something, is there a way to have that be on by default?
That is a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. I do know, like so as Jennifer and I are both co-hosts, you know, if you're the teacher setting up the Zoom session, I have my tools automatically by default, but if I go up to where you can stop video and mute, there's a more option. And when I click on the more, I have different options to disable the attendees, any of you guys to annotate. I can click on a show names of annotators, right? So I have some options. There might be something in the Zoom settings and our profile settings, so I'll look into that and I'll let you know, because that's a great question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Those are great questions, guys. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop share for a second, okay? And go back to speaker view. Okay, and so what I wanna do is I'm gonna actually show you guys how to, the next thing before we get into the 3 programs. The other option you can do is you can actually connect your phone to or iPad through Zoom and do screen share. So I have a cable, a USB cable. You can also do it through Airplay. Now I know we have quite a few Android users, and we've not tested it on an Android because all of us in CTL are iOS Apple people. So if you guys try this, I would love to hear your perspectives on it. But when you go to screen share in Zoom, there's an option where you can choose your iPhone, iPad for cable or iPhone, iPad for AirPlay. So if I click AirPlay and hit share, I have to then go to my tablet or my phone, and I have to turn on screen mirroring. Okay. And when I do that, you're now watching it from my mobile device. Okay. Does anybody have any questions with that so far? So that is, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, can you repeat the steps you did
Yeah.
to get to that?
Yeah. So you go to screen share again in Zoom, and you can choose, there's two options. There's an iPhone, iPad for via AirPlay, or an iPhone, iPad via your cable, right? So if you're, let me stop share again for a sec. If you are a iOS user and you're on a Mac laptop, you would have to have, if you want to do the cable, your lightning cable, right? USB, and your adapter. Sorry, I'm going to try to make sure you guys can see it. Your USB adapter, right? Because on the Macs, they don't have USB ports, right? But you can also do it via AirPlay. Now, like I said, I haven't tested on the Android, and that's why Jennifer and I kind of wanted to survey you to get your feedback on what platform and smart device, because we'd love to have a few of you guys even test it on your Android if you could with it. But when you choose screen share, you can choose AirPlay or the cable. So I'm going to choose AirPlay because I'm also thinking, like, if I'm teaching and let's say I'm in the classroom or I'm outside, I don't want to have to be tethered down by my cable, right? Because then my laptop's here and I'm over here. I want to be able to take my iPad, if I have an iPad, and go through it through AirPlay. Okay. Have you guys,
So
those of you,
Candace,
yeah, Lori, yeah.
right now, if I click on share screen, I can't share the screen because
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because I don't have you guys able to, only Jennifer and I, but hopefully after this, if you guys have time this afternoon to test it, and you need somebody else on the call, let me know. I disabled it because we're recording, and so I didn't want everybody trying to do that, and it goes everywhere on that. But yeah, when you choose that, and I'll send some screenshots within that as well. But Jennifer, I think you've used AirPlay a lot too.
Oh yeah, I used AirPlay extensively during the spring.
Mm-hmm. And then the other feature, and we have a short video on CTL website, is if you connect your phone through the cable or AirPlay, you can actually point your phone down, right? In Christy's video, she put it on a coffee mug, and you can annotate that way. Jennifer has another device she'll show towards the end, right? That's really cool. That if you're looking for more of a whiteboarding, maybe not whiteboard, but kind of a document camera type solution to annotate, or if you're seeing notes. So those are some options. And like I said, I'd be happy to kind of go through it with you guys afterwards to kind of see if it's going to work for you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to screen share. I'm going to choose AirPlay and hit share. And then I have to turn it on my, yeah, now it's not going to find it. There we go. Okay, choose my laptop. Okay, so the next thing, does anybody have any questions? I know that was a little hard because you guys can't share the screen and see it. Okay, all right.
What are you looking at right now? Sorry, Candace.
Oh, so right now you're looking at my iPad.
Gotcha.
So what I wanted to do next is I'm going to talk a little bit about Microsoft Whiteboard, and then Jennifer's going to talk about Google Jamboard, and then I'm going to come back and talk about Browserboard. So there are 3 programs that we've looked at and really kind of evaluated that could work best for what you're wanting to do, right? These are web-based programs, but they're also apps that you can install on your phone or your tablet. And so these are primarily the 3 best ones on here, sorry. Okay, so what we did is to try to make it easy for you all, we have this course. CTL has this course, a Moodle course that we put in together for using Moodle effectively, right? And we have this alternative ways to write on the board. Each of you should be a teacher in this course, and if not, we can add you. So if you can, go ahead and log into Moodle and go to this course. Okay.
Candace, I'm gonna go add people that
Okay.
didn't already get added.
Thank you. Okay. And so what we wanted to do, and I have to remember I'm not on my I'm screen sharing my iPad. So I'm in a web browser, I'm just in Safari. And what we did is we wanted to make it easy, instead of having you guys install all these apps on your devices, we created 3 different links. And so the first link is called Microsoft Whiteboard, right? And this is Microsoft, or OneDrive Office 365. This is Microsoft's alternative, all right, for a whiteboarding feature, okay? So once you're in, I want you to click on Microsoft Whiteboard, that link. Okay. And it should, make sure it takes you to the right one. It should take you to this board. Now we are in a web browser. We're not in an app or anything like that. We're just in a web browser, it doesn't matter what browser, and we're logged in. Okay, and I want to wait a few seconds to make sure everyone can get in. And if you're on a laptop, it's a little harder to write. And you guys probably have kind of already experienced that teaching remotely in the spring. So in the web browser within Microsoft Whiteboard, you are very limited to what you see. You have 4 different pen options and an eraser. And that's all you can do. I can try to erase that. I can erase other people's drawings. I can click my pen and I can write hi, right? I can try to move around the board, move it around a little bit, okay? But I don't have a whole lot of features that I can do on here within that. Okay. How do you make it synchronous? Okay, great. So right now what we did is, I'm showing you this first because I want to show you how to, let me move it over just a little bit, how to share it first, okay? So what we did is we just made this link where, I don't know if you guys were asked to sign in. Was anybody asked to sign in?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you were asked to sign in. Okay, but we made this with a link, so anybody can join as long as they have the link and they know how to sign in. Okay, so in Microsoft, in the web browser with Whiteboard, you're limited, and I'm going to show you the app here in a minute. But if I click on this little person icon right here in the upper right corner, I can invite by email or create a sharing link. Okay, so if you hit invite by email, it's going to pull up your email if it's set up on your tablet or laptop, and you can enter your students' names in. You can also do create sharing link, and it gives you this link that you can copy. Okay, but this should be like synchronous with what you guys we're all doing together. Now, I personally like the app version better instead of just the browser, right? But it also, you know, I mean, hopefully most of your students have devices if you're looking for something for both of them, or your students and yourself to kind of work together, okay, on that.
Candace,
So what, yeah,
may
Christian.
I ask you, would you mind writing something and speak as you write it so we get a sense of the lag?
Sure. So as I'm talking, and I talk faster than I write, I am using an Apple Pencil. I'll go up here, Apple Pencil, not very well. very well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for saying that, because I'm talking, I'm not writing. But I also don't have a way to control the pen size and all that. So what I want to show you next, real quick, within Whiteboard, and like I said, we wanted to make it easy for everyone coming in, but when you download the app, and the app is on your iOS, on your Android, if you're a Windows, so all the platforms that everybody said that they had. Let me click on this. I'm going to open up, right? All the platforms, Microsoft Whiteboard would work. Okay, so let me kind of pinch. So I'm pinching with 2 fingers. You can't see. I'm pinching with 2 fingers to zoom it, to scale it so I can see. But notice on the app, I can canvas over to the right as I'm going, or to left. And so I have a basically big open canvas. Okay, so I'm going to go over here for a second. I don't know, can you guys see my tools at the bottom where black, red, blue? Okay, so if I click that, when I hold down on it, see I have different pen colors and different features. So if I say, come back over here. Oh, I don't know if I picked the right, yeah, maybe I did. Okay, let me erase that. Okay. Let's write, so it's not as thick. I'm not well. You guys are probably much better writers than I am. Right on this board. And I don't know if it's lagging a lot for you because I'm watching my iPad. Okay, and I can scroll over more. I also have features. Oh, I can highlight kind of yellow in here if I wanted to, the thickest. And let me go back up here, choose that. I also have options where I can bring in an image. So if I wanted to bring in a picture. And so what was interesting about this is I brought in this picture, and I can now, when I click on it, let me zoom in a little bit more. When I click on a photo, it's like when you insert it in Word, you have your corner circle, you can hold down and it resizes it to make it larger or smaller. So if I'm talking about this is a floret right here, and I'm talking about different features of a lilac, right? I can kind of show that. And of course, red's not the best color to kind of see on this picture. Okay, now it should be, those of you that didn't join in the app but joined through the links that we had in Moodle, you should still be able to add on here. Hopefully you should be able to see the changes, and I don't know if anybody has any feedback if if you're viewing the changes live.
I don't see them on my, I can see things on my Zoom screen that I do not see on.
Can you refresh your browser, Jennifer? Because you might need to refresh it.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've done it with this big of a group. So, and see if it, because also in the browser version, and so see what we're showing you is some like benefits, and then there are some drawbacks, right? Which is why I'm hoping when you guys look at some of these today, you'll get an idea of what may work well for you with it. And of course, Microsoft, Jennifer's going to talk about Google here in a minute, but Microsoft works the same way where you have to sign in. You have to have a Microsoft account, which all of us at Center do, all of your students do, but you have to sign in first to kind of see it. Did that work, Jennifer?
Well, no, but I wonder if I'm looking at the same screen, at the same whiteboard.
Oh, yeah. So let me go.
Photograph with the flowers, but I don't.
Well, I have 2 of them on here. So see how wide that board is when I zoom. See how wide the board is. So if I go back, I'm going to go back. I'm going to skip out of the app. And
You're off of the edge, and I can see that, but I have to move the screen around, and I didn't realize that I was able to. So,
And
okay.
you look at, I'm trying to move it and it's a little, let me refresh the whiteboard here. I'm gonna refresh it again. Right, because I made the canvas area a lot bigger.
Right.
So see
And that
that?
was the thing, I didn't know that there was another photograph.
Yeah, yeah, because I just used the same one. But see, there it is. So you have to refresh your browser, or at least I did, to see that, and then click on. Because if you click on, if I leave it on the red pen, right, and I try to move, all it's doing is creating a red pen, right? So I have to click on that 4 cross-haired symbol, and that's my move tool to move the canvas area over. So if you did use this with your students too, that's one thing you'll have to think about is, you know, and we in the CTL, I can help put together documentation, right, for your students on certain things. I actually added right before this, and this is where we'll add the recording to some of the links, the help, because there are some differences. And I think even with Google that Jennifer's going to show, there are some differences between the web browser version versus the app version on this. So does anybody have any questions with Microsoft Whiteboard?
Candace, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Were you able to, or are we able to upload photos through the app, or I'm sorry, the browser version, or is it only with the app version?
It's only, so from everything that I've tested, you cannot do it. And of course, I'm on a Mac. I don't know on a Windows PC if you can through the browser, but on a Mac, you cannot. You have to use the app.
And could you demo one more time very briefly how you uploaded it with the app?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to say. So here are my whiteboarding apps that I have on my iPad. Okay. Now, I had used Whiteboard last year, and then I had tested it out because we're working on a lot of documentation for our faculty. And what was it, 2 weeks ago, I tried to access Whiteboard and I couldn't. Well, Jennifer had figured it out with Microsoft. See where it says Authenticator right here? Right here? And you can't see it. You have to install, if you're on your iPad, you have to install Microsoft Whiteboard and Authenticator in order to get the Whiteboard to now work with Microsoft. They're both Microsoft products. They just changed the security settings. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Whiteboard. And it's launching. So I'm in the app, and it's just taking a minute. It's a little slow. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of scale. I'm pinching 2 fingers close together, right? Oh, there's my whiteboard up there. Maybe I'll go up here, okay? And so there's this little plus symbol right here by the lasso, and you can do an image, text, taste, but if I do image, then it wants to know from all my photos are recent. So I'm going to go to recents, and I'm going to just pull in this photo. So I got to pinch back out. So spread my 2 fingers out to zoom in. And when I click on the photo, that's when I get the box around it with the little circle in the corner. And I can come and drag it to make it bigger. And then I can pinch back together, pinch my fingers together to kind of get that a little bit more. So you're on your tablet, you're pinching in and pinching out, like zooming in and zooming out with that. Does that help, Peter? Okay, thanks. Any other questions with Microsoft? So let me just share before I turn it over to Jennifer. You have the little person icon, so I can see everybody who's logged in, right? And me, I can click the little person icon. And this is where I can invite someone, right? And it's gonna pull probably the recent people I've talked to within my contact list. But if I wanted the copy link, I'm gonna grab this link, and you can't see when I point to it. There's no laser pointer over here, but let me grab it over here. This link right here. So if I hit link there, I can turn web sharing link on or off, okay? And then it says, anyone with URL, can you view this whiteboard? So I could copy. If I turn it off, which I'm not gonna do, then that's going to show you guys, you're not gonna be able to access it through the link, right, with it. So I would then have to only invite you by putting your name in here. So if I wanted Robin to have access, I have to send her an invite. So you can do it a couple different ways. You can do it just with a link, or you can invite somebody this way. You guys see that? Or questions there? And if I hit send, then Robin's gonna get an email about that board. Questions with Microsoft Whiteboard. Okay, and I will say, I think from the faculty perspectives that have tested this, the finding the link to share was not very intuitive.
That was hard for me.
So that, besides that, and the Microsoft Authenticator, putting those two things down. So Jennifer, is there anything else that I'm missing with the Microsoft Whiteboard?
No, but one thing that I just thought of a minute ago is we're demonstrating this and all using Zoom, but the reality is we could collaborate on the whiteboard even if we weren't using Zoom. And sometimes you might give students problems or questions or things to work on together, and they might use some other approach to interact with each other besides Zoom. Maybe they're going to text each other or group me or whatever other things that they like to use instead. FaceTime.
Yeah,
So,
that's an excellent point there, because yeah, we're connecting this way to record it, but yeah.
right. I mean, we could all be looking at each other on Zoom and simultaneously looking at the whiteboard, assuming that we all have two screens.
Yep.
Right. If you don't have two screens, then you can only look at the one, and maybe you'll find it handy to just look at the whiteboard.
Yep, exactly. Any other questions?
Could you show the whiteboard again?
Yeah, the whiteboard in Microsoft?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go back to share because I'm in Zoom, obviously. And then I'm going to turn screen share on, display it. So, okay, so I'm gonna pinch out. So this is through the app right now where I'm at.
It's less of a question and more of an observation.
Yeah.
I was able to draw on the web link.
Okay.
Download the app and watch it update and see it in real time on the Zoom. But I've noticed that if I erased things, it just stayed on your screen. Like the erasing didn't update.
Well, I'm wondering if
I don't know if that's just something weird with my computer or if it's just something that's a thing with this.
So what
feature.
you've erased is currently still on my screen right here, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm wondering if it's just you need to go out and refresh, which I haven't done. So I'm going to go back out. And you can see I just have a lot of test boards within that. But let me find this one, Lucas, and we'll see if, let me pinch down. I don't know what you erased or where you were at.
It's all still there.
Okay. This is great to know. So it's something I'll look into. So I may be in touch with you later to ask you what it was, but thank you for that observation.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing right now and I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer.
Okay. It always takes me a minute to remember how to share because.
While she's doing that, I did have a quick follow-up.
Yeah,
If I refresh mine, and the stuff that I erased comes back.
Interesting. On the browser or the app or both?
On the browser. I haven't downloaded the app or tried to do anything with that.
Okay. Interesting. Well, and I know there's a I should have shown you guys the settings, but I'll take some screenshots. I know in Microsoft's on the browser, like anybody can erase anybody's, which is not ideal, right? To be able to do that. So
Okay, so I'm going to show you the Google Jamboard, and I'm going to go into it from the app on my iPad. And here's the whiteboard that I set up for us to share, and I apparently already inserted an image. And so it works similar to the Microsoft Whiteboard. You can insert the image, you can insert sticky notes. One thing different with the Google Jamboard, when you try to, I don't think you can just type on the screen. If you're going to type, you have to type on a sticky note and then put the sticky note on the screen. But you can, oh, duh. If you want to write on there, you sort of need to touch the iPad. Oh, this is one of the reasons why we really like, we meaning the chemists who helped me test this, really like the Google Jamboard better, is because you have the laser pointer, and it's kind of nice because it sticks around for a while. And so I thought at first that was how I would write on there, but the way you write is with the pen, and the way you point to things is with the laser pointer. And so this is nice. Instead of having a screen that can get really big, or maybe it can get big and I haven't figured that out, you can also have multiple pages. And so you can add things to, like, oh, somebody's writing there, I want some clean space, I can go add another page. And you all have access to this whiteboard because you can access it through the Moodle. How do I get out of here? Sorry, I have to figure out how to get back to Moodle. No, I want this. I forget how to get to the Google Jamboard from a web browser, so I'm going back to it through the Moodle class.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I have a link too, but I think it's jamboard.google.com.
Oh, yeah.
But I linked it, so.
Jamboard.google.com. And so this is one thing I like about Jamboard is you could like put names on them and say, go back to this place. And then everybody can, like, you could say, these 3 people work on this Jamboard, these 3 people work on this Jamboard, and there you go. I don't know if this is, if I'm looking at the same Jamboard as you. Anyways, in many ways, it is a lot like the Microsoft one. One thing that's different is that you have the laser pointer, and you have the laser pointer in both the app and in the browser interface, the app on the iPad. And this is one where we did actually test it on an Android phone. And people, Aaron Wachter, who tried testing it on the Android phone, said it worked beautiful. I tried it on my iPhone, and it was really lovely because you could zoom in and zoom out, and things look smooth, and the drawing is lovely. And it looks like people are finding it and have no trouble writing on the screen. And I don't know if they're using their laptops or some other devices, but the handwriting looks really lovely. You all are good at handwriting on the screens. I'm going to get out of the share. You can all keep looking at it.
I was going to say, Jennifer, can you really quick show us how to share the Google Jamboard?
Oh, yeah. So what I need to do is,
I think it's
from in the Google Jamboard, I didn't finish sharing. There's so many steps I always forget. So what you do is up here at the top, there's a thing that says share, and you can pick anyone with the link, or I think you can also pick some other options. I thought there was a way to do it to just the people who were in your Google in your organization. But right now, it looks like I have it set up so that it's anyone with the link can do it.
Yeah,
Okay. So
a lot.
I-
You hit that change right there at the bottom. And if you guys have used any of the Googles before with classes, it's exactly the same way. So Google Sites or Slides and all that.
Yeah, so you can restrict it or you can make it for anyone who has the link. And what I envision doing for my classes would be to break them into groups, and each group has their own Google Jamboard, and then I can go look at their separate Jamboards and they can work on it whether we're together or not together, and then they could say, okay, we got this far on the problem and then we got stuck, and I can go look at their Jamboard whether we're in Zoom or talking by email or in Slack or whatever.
Yeah.
Are there questions? I like to see people's faces instead of.
I didn't see anything that came through, but one thing I would encourage you, if you do use Google or with any of the Google, is to make sure your students use their center email address and not their Gmail, right? Because if you're really trying to contain things, especially if you're using copyrighted images or things like that, you can contain it within the class versus like, oh, it's out there for everyone to see. And then you start violating copyright and all that good stuff.
So Danielle says the Google Jamboard seems way better than Microsoft, and I agreed. That was my strong preference was, oh, I like the Google Jamboard better, but I sort of needed to try them all before I understood that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so our last one that we wanted to show, and this all is within the Moodle course, it's Browserboard.com. So I'm going to go back and share, this time I'm just going to share my laptop. So Browserboard does not have an app. It is all through a web browser, right? So I'm just going to see my name. I'm already, well, let me just hit save. I'm already logged in. So to create a browser board, you can create a free account, okay? And so this you'll see, it's kind of, I think, like Microsoft in the fact that it's a little limited. And although you have more features, right? So if you wanted to draw a line, I'm drawing a line right here in green. It does show you, so I'm logged in as Sequence, right? Or anonymous, you have different colors. I can come up here to the color box and I can change it to blue, right? And so I can try to type something because it's a little bit more, right? I'm gonna type in thank you over there. So you do have some options, and I can see in real time, the lag doesn't seem as long, right? With some of the Zoom as well. I'm not writing anything right this moment, but this is a free online whiteboard. So if you're just looking for something free and easy, your students wanted to just get together, Browserboard could work for what you want to do. Your students see the changes in real time. They access it through a browser, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. You can link this directly in Moodle, right? So there's a plus sign there, create a link. Say here, everybody go, right? Or you can link it if you're using a different whatever you're using, different things. And then students don't need an account, right, to access it. If you post a link and share it out with them, they don't need an account. If you want to create your actual boards and save it, you can see in the right corner, I'm logged in, I have an account. But I also can't tell, I mean, I can see colors, right? But if everybody's the same color, they don't change. I can't easily tell who wrote what, right? I'd have to spend some time looking at that. And I think you have more options in the web browser. Within Microsoft, you know, that browser platform, you don't have a lot, but I'm going to move this video over here. You have over on the right side, you have your move tool, so you can move the canvas area. You have a plus or minus, right? That will let you to zoom in, zoom out. I don't know if that's doing that for you guys in real time as I'm doing that or not.
Yes.
So, oh, it is okay. So if someone comes over and messes, and I don't know if you guys see a plus and minus and a move symbol, if you guys go over, you should start seeing those changes as well in real time.
What's the equal sign, Candace?
The equal sign, oh, that takes you back to normal,
Okay.
your normal view when you first launched it. So Browserboard's another, like, I think a quick and easy option if you're like, hey, I just need something really quick and you don't want to set it up. I think as Jennifer said, with Google and Microsoft, you have to sign in, right, with an account, where Browserboard you don't.
The original person who sets the board up has to have an account, but nobody else does.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So,
Okay.
any questions with Browserboard?
Yeah, I have. May I ask about the eraser feature? Is it
Yes.
a way to make it stronger than it is? Because when I try to erase, like I can do it, but it's almost like I have a little, I don't know, like a 1/4 size eraser.
Let's see. So if you go to, see in the color, my color block is blue up in the upper left corner, and I have that big circle right there. I think that applies to all of the tools. So if you choose the big one, right, which is the biggest, and then I select eraser, if I come over here, I think it increases it a little bit compared to the thin. Let me change it to this tiny one, which I think is the default. So if I go over here, see, it's really small. But if I come and click on that dot and go to the big circle, so now it erases a little bit bigger.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. A great question. Other questions with Browserboard? A lot of you guys are drawing some really great things. You guys are really neat at drawing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and stop share again for Browserboard. And the couple things I want to say, and then Jennifer and I are going to wrap up on just some other ways that you can annotate, right? But that Moodle course, we have it linked within our technology page. That is for you guys. You can feel free to add other faculty members, right, as teachers. Those are, you can do a practice area, but we're putting different things in there that kind of help. Here's some links that you guys can think about what you're doing. Some other ways that you can annotate if you have a tablet, and I think we had half of you guys have an iPad. You can annotate over a PowerPoint slide. You can open up Word on your iPad and annotate or draw over top of that. Those are the big two things that I had, or just online. Jennifer, was there anything else I'm missing?
No, I mean, on OneNote, I use OneNote when I do class visits. I just write in my iPad. If I write on paper, I will lose it. So my iPad, I'm not likely to lose. And then I was going to talk about the Osmo
Yes.
So I learned about this, I don't remember if it was Facebook or Twitter, and if you have small children, maybe you have seen one of these before. This is called an Osmo Base, and it's like this thing. It looks like a holder, and that's because it is. And the holder will hold an iPad, but the iPad has to have no case on it. If the iPad has a case on it, it won't work. And I can't have an iPad without a case. So you take the little thing out of the bottom, and then you put this on the top, and there's a little mirror in here. So it feels like magic to me. And so what I can do now is share my screen. Ugh. And I'm going to pick iPad by Airplay. And then I have to do the Airplay for this always takes more steps than I think it should. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. This morning, my
Internet went out.
No, we have weird internet at my house, and the Wi-Fi, we have multiple routers, and the router from the regular company, from the internet company, the DSL, it like has this password that's a lot of characters, because they think you should always be really careful and not have those things, and not let people mooch on you. But I live in the woods in a house with steel siding, and I don't think any of my neighbors, those squirrels and raccoons and deers, they probably aren't gonna try to steal my Wi-Fi. I think this is on the Apple internet, and there is no Apple internet. It quit this morning, and so I didn't hook it back up to the Windows one that has the password. So I have to figure out how to do that.
But basically, it works just like a document camera, where you can actually, you put a piece of paper in front of the iPad, right? And you draw and it reflects. It's basically, that mirror is a little reflector. So it shows what you're writing about. So I actually looked, we're hoping, I told Jennifer, I said it was like what, $40, I think, because I actually looked into it. They have a whole bunch of other things, but you can do the same thing with your phone, as I mentioned earlier, using your phone as a document camera. But I thought that was a neat device if you're looking for, I just want paper and pen and I want to annotate, right? There's something you can do. Oh, thank you, Danielle.
I think I can make it work now that I figured out how to get the password if people want to see it.
You guys want to see it? I mean, we have some time. And Danielle posted a great link about hacking one as well, so thank you. Oh.
Okay, so you can see I'm mirroring my iPad. And the app that comes with, you can download the app for free. It's called Osmo Projector. And then, why is it? Okay, good. And then I have basically my pad of paper sitting in front of the iPad, and I can write on it. And you can see it on your screen. And if you decide that you need to have like a photograph of it, I think that there's a way to like on the iPad screen to like take a capture of it. Or if you're videotaping your Zoom meeting, you can like, this will be in the video. But if you're a paper person and you do have an iPad that you're willing to not let be in a case, then it's $40. Which is kind of handy.
Are there any other questions or comments or things you guys want to share or hoping to get out of today's session?
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
The Microsoft and Google Jamboard where you were sharing images,
Mm-hmm.
do you know off the top of your head what all kind of file types are supported there? Would those make halfway decent kind of like PDF annotators? If you were going to say, let's all look at this worksheet I made or something like that.
If you want to use a PDF annotator, you need to take the workshop that Kristen Fulfer is teaching in 2 weeks about annotating PDFs.
Oh, there's a whole separate workshop for that.
That's
Oh,
Yeah,
let's write that
I apologize.
way, way better tool for that.
Yeah, because I was going to say Microsoft, it only wants to pull a picture from your photo gallery, right? And so I don't know with Jamboard, with Google.
It's the same. Whatever's in your Apple,
Yeah.
in your.
It's just another step of taking that PDF and making it an image. But yeah, Kristen's doing one on the 28th from 10 to 11. So about annotation. So.
My other question was, I don't know on any of those that we've looked at,
Mm-hmm.
how much if you noticed from this workshop or other experimentation you've done, how much the number of people affects the quality and whether or not any of them have actual hard caps for the maximum number of people that can be on at once.
I do not know an answer to that.
Mm-mm. We didn't test that. We tested, can we look at it at the same time, and what features does it have, and does this frustrate me? We all liked the Google Jamboard best, at least we, the chemists.
Yeah, and I think with Microsoft, so I put a link to the help because I was trying to understand everything about it, right? As we were coming up before this session, we in the CTL coming up with different alternatives. I've not seen that, but I think that's something I can look into to see if they have anything. I think chemistry testing Jamboard app this fall will be, because all the classes I think are going to be using it. We'll get a better sense of, at least with 30 students, how that works for you guys. Yeah, great.
Except
question.
in chemistry, we tend to do things like, okay, you work in groups, so 5 people on this, 5 people on this, and so it might not ever really be 30.
Yeah. Great question. Are there other questions or comments?
So Jennifer, can I ask you a question about the Jamboard? When you put them in groups, so like are you planning like at the beginning of the semester that everybody like you're going to put them in groups and then you're going to assign a name to their board, and like they can access that board through Moodle, and you can go into Moodle and access it too? Or is there another?
That was my vision, except it might not be just one board for the whole semester. It might be, they might get a new board for every week or every class period, or here's a new problem.
Okay.
And my vision was to keep them in the same group permanently, because I figure I want to make them feel connected to other people, and it's easier to feel connected if you always talk to your same buddies.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Well, this is all we have for today. So I appreciate everybody's questions. I'm going to send out a summary. So if there's things that you were wanting to make sure, I'm going to look at the chat too to make sure I didn't miss anything. Just let me know and I'll make sure I add that in. And just, you know, if you have any questions at all about anything, or as you're thinking about what you're doing, if there's things you're worried your students don't know as far as technology and you need help with creating handouts, you know, please reach out to me, because that's part of our role, is to help kind of create documentation and provide links for your students. So let me know that as well.
Another thing you might be interested in is this Moodle course where you are accessing the whiteboards is like a sandbox. And so you can make your own boards and link them in, because you're all teachers. So you all have privileges to do whatever things you want. And some of you were in this same web page for the class that Christy taught the other day. And so we just put other things in here because it was convenient to have a sandbox.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, Candace.
Bye. Thanks.